You're stuck in a never-ending cycle of craving and consumption, chasing the next fleeting high, the next temporary escape. Every day, same story. You tell yourself you just need to find the right distraction, the right pleasure to fill the void. But the void never gets filled and the craving never subsides. You're not alone in this struggle. Millions of people are trapped in this vicious cycle, and it's not just about addiction, it's about the human condition. We're wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, but in doing so, we often create more pain in the long run. The concept of hormesis, which refers to the beneficial effects of administering small to moderate doses of noxious or painful stimuli, can help us understand this paradox. For instance, taking a cold shower or exposing yourself to a challenging situation can actually increase your resilience and well-being. But how do you break free from this cycle and find a more meaningful, more fulfilling life? Dopamin Nation by Anna Lembke is a book that reveals the underlying drivers of this cycle and offers a way out. In this summary, you'll discover how to find a balance between pleasure and pain, how to use self-binding to overcome addiction, and how to cultivate radical honesty and prosocial shame to promote positive change. You'll learn how to immerse yourself in the world, find meaning in the present moment, and break free from the cycles of addiction and compulsive behavior. These aren't just tips or strategies, they're proven principles that have helped countless people transform their lives. Drop a comment with the title of the next book you'd like me to turn into an audiobook summary. Now, let's dive into the first key learning. You're stuck in a never-ending cycle of craving and indulgence, only to feel empty and unfulfilled afterwards. You've tried to break free, but somehow you always end up back where you started, wondering why you can't seem to stop chasing the next thrill or distraction. You're not alone in this struggle. Millions of people are trapped in the same vicious cycle, and it's affecting every area of their lives. The reason you're stuck is that you're constantly seeking pleasure, but in doing so, you're actually creating more pain. This is because your brain is wired to respond to pleasure and pain in a delicate balance, and when you disrupt this balance, you set yourself up for a lifetime of struggle. The concept of a pleasure-pain balance is crucial to understanding why you're struggling with addiction or compulsive behavior. When you pursue pleasure at all costs, you're actually creating an imbalance in your brain chemistry that can lead to pain, anxiety, and depression. This is because your brain is designed to respond to pleasure and pain in a specific way, and when you overindulge in pleasure, you're essentially hijacking your brain's reward system. This can lead to a range of negative consequences, from damaged relationships to poor physical health. But there is hope. By understanding the pleasure-pain balance and learning how to find a healthy equilibrium, you can break free from the cycle of addiction and start living a more fulfilling life. So why does this matter to you? Well, think about it. When was the last time you did something that truly brought you joy and fulfillment without feeling guilty or anxious afterwards? When was the last time you felt like you were living in the present moment without being distracted by your phone or social media? If you're like most people, it's been a while. And that's because you're caught up in the relentless pursuit of pleasure without considering the long-term consequences. But what if you could find a way to balance your desire for pleasure with your need for meaning and purpose? What if you could learn to appreciate the small things in life and find joy in the everyday moments that make life worth living? The story of Muhammad is a powerful illustration of the importance of finding a balance between pleasure and pain. Muhammad struggled with cannabis addiction, but found that his cravings decreased when he began taking close-up pictures of beetles. This experience taught Muhammad the value of immersing himself in the world and finding meaning in the present moment. He realized that his addiction was not just about the pleasure of getting high, but about the pain and emptiness he was trying to escape. By finding a new source of pleasure and meaning, Muhammad was able to break free from his addiction and start living a more fulfilling life. This is not just a story about overcoming addiction. It's a story about finding balance and purpose in life. Another example that illustrates the importance of balance is the concept of hormesis. Hormesis refers to the beneficial effects of administering small to moderate doses of noxious or painful stimuli. This concept is illustrated through various examples, including the use of cold water immersion to speed muscle recovery and the exposure of worms to heat stress to increase their lifespan. The idea is that by introducing small amounts of stress or pain into our lives, we can actually build resilience and improve our overall well-being. This is not about seeking out pain for its own sake, but about finding a balance between pleasure and pain that allows us to grow and thrive. So, how can you apply this concept to your own life? What small amounts of stress or challenge can you introduce into your daily routine to build resilience and improve your overall well-being? The relentless pursuit of pleasure, without consideration for the long-term consequences, is a recipe for disaster. It leads to pain, anxiety, and depression, and can damage our relationships and our physical health. But by finding a balance between pleasure and pain, we can break free from this cycle and start living a more fulfilling life. So, what does this mean for you? How can you start to find a balance between pleasure and pain in your own life? It starts with self-reflection and self-awareness, taking the time to understand what drives your desires and behaviors and what you truly want to achieve in life. It means being honest with yourself about your motivations and your values and making conscious choices that align with your goals and aspirations. Imagine waking up every morning feeling refreshed and renewed, without the weight of addiction or compulsion holding you back. Imagine being able to pursue your passions and interests without feeling guilty or anxious, and being able to connect with others on a deep and meaningful level. This is what's possible when you find a balance between pleasure and pain and start living a more fulfilling life. So, what's the first step you can take today to start moving in this direction? It might be as simple as taking a few minutes each day to practice self-reflection, or engaging in a new hobby or activity that brings you joy and fulfillment. Whatever it is, remember that small steps can add up over time, and that the key is to be consistent and patient. To get started, try this. Take 10 minutes each day to practice self-reflection, and ask yourself what you truly want to achieve in life. What are your values and goals, and what's holding you back from pursuing them? What small steps can you take today to move closer to your goals, and what challenges or obstacles might you face along the way? By taking the time to reflect on these questions, you can start to develop a deeper understanding of yourself and your motivations, and make conscious choices that align with your values and goals. Remember, the goal is not to eliminate pleasure from your life, but to find a balance between pleasure and pain that allows you to grow and thrive. So, take the first step today and start moving in the direction of a more fulfilling life. Now that we've explored this powerful insight, let's move on to the next transformative learning. You keep finding yourself trapped in a cycle of overconsumption, whether it's scrolling mindlessly through your phone, binge-watching your favorite show, or indulging in one too many drinks. You know you want to stop, but somehow you just can't seem to resist the temptation. You've tried to use willpower, setting boundaries and making promises to yourself, but time and time again you end up giving in. It's like you're a slave to your desires, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't break free. This constant struggle is not only frustrating, but also damaging to your relationships, your health, and your overall well-being. You feel like you're losing control, and it's terrifying. But what if you could find a way to break this cycle? What if you could create a barrier between yourself and the things that are holding you back? This is where the concept of self-binding comes in, a strategy that involves creating physical, chronological, or categorical barriers between yourself and your drug of choice. By doing so, you can reduce the likelihood of compulsive overconsumption and cultivate a more profound sense of self-awareness and self-regulation. Let's dive deeper into this concept and explore how it can help you solve your problem. Self-binding is not just about restricting access to a particular substance or behavior. It's about recognizing the limitations of your willpower and taking proactive steps to manage your desires and actions. When you create barriers between yourself and your drug of choice, you're not just reducing the temptation, you're also creating an opportunity for self-reflection and self-awareness. You're forced to confront your motivations and desires, and to make more rational decisions about your consumption. For instance, imagine you're trying to cut down on your social media usage. You know it's not good for your mental health, but you just can't seem to resist the urge to scroll through your feeds. By implementing self-binding strategies, such as removing social media apps from your phone or restricting your access to certain times of the day, you can create a barrier between yourself and the temptation. This physical self-binding strategy allows you to reduce the likelihood of mindless scrolling and cultivate a more intentional approach to your social media usage. But why does self-binding matter to you? It matters because it recognizes that you're not just a rational being, but also an emotional and impulsive one. It acknowledges that your desires and actions are often driven by factors beyond your conscious control, and that you need strategies to manage these impulses. By creating barriers between yourself and your drug of choice, you're not just restricting your access, you're also creating an opportunity for self-regulation and self-awareness. You're taking control of your desires and actions, and you're making more intentional decisions about your consumption. Let's look at some examples from real life. Take Oscar, for instance, who struggled with alcohol addiction. He knew he needed to stop drinking, but he just couldn't seem to resist the temptation. So, he implemented a physical self-binding strategy. He removed all alcohol from his home and locked it up in a file cabinet with only his wife having the key. This simple yet effective strategy allowed him to abstain from alcohol for years, and it gave him the opportunity to cultivate a more profound sense of self-awareness and self-regulation. Another example is the concept of chronological self-binding. This involves restricting consumption to certain times of the day, week, month, or year. For instance, you might decide to only check your social media feeds during your lunch break, or to only watch TV after 8 p.m. By creating these chronological barriers, you're not just reducing the temptation, you're also creating an opportunity for self-reflection and self-awareness. You're forced to confront your motivations and desires, and to make more rational decisions about your consumption. As you can see, self-binding is not just a theoretical concept. It's a practical strategy that can be applied to real-life situations. It's not a guarantee of success, but rather a useful tool for managing addiction and compulsive behavior. By creating barriers between yourself and your drug of choice, you're taking control of your desires and actions, and you're making more intentional decisions about your consumption. So, what changes when you apply this concept to your life? For starters, you'll notice a significant reduction in the likelihood of compulsive overconsumption. You'll be less tempted to indulge in your drug of choice, and you'll be more likely to make rational decisions about your consumption. You'll also cultivate a more profound sense of self-awareness and self-regulation, and you'll be better equipped to manage your desires and actions. Imagine waking up in the morning, feeling more in control of your desires and actions. Imagine being able to resist the temptation of social media, or being able to say no to that extra drink. Imagine feeling more confident and self-assured, knowing that you have the tools and strategies to manage your addiction and compulsive behavior. This is what self-binding can do for you. It can help you break the cycle of overconsumption, and it can give you the freedom to live a more intentional and fulfilling life. To start applying this concept to your life, try creating a physical barrier between yourself and your drug of choice. This could be as simple as removing a particular app from your phone or restricting your access to certain times of the day. It could also involve creating a categorical barrier, such as deciding to only engage in a particular behavior in certain contexts or situations. The key is to create a barrier that works for you and to be consistent in your application of it. For instance, you could try implementing a no-phone zone in your home, where you're not allowed to use your phone during certain times of the day or in certain rooms. This physical self-binding strategy can help you reduce the temptation to mindlessly scroll through your feeds, and it can give you the opportunity to cultivate a more intentional approach to your phone usage. Alternatively, you could try creating a chronological barrier, such as deciding to only check your social media feeds during your lunch break or to only watch TV after 8 p.m. By creating these barriers, you're taking control of your desires and actions, and you're making more intentional decisions about your consumption. Remember, self-binding is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a flexible and adaptable strategy that can be tailored to your unique needs and circumstances. The key is to find what works for you and to be consistent in your application of it. With time and practice, you'll find that self-binding becomes an essential tool in your arsenal, helping you to manage your addiction and compulsive behavior and to live a more intentional and fulfilling life. With that understanding in place, let's dive into another crucial insight from the book. You keep feeling like you're stuck in a cycle of superficial relationships, where everyone's pretending to be someone they're not, and you're left wondering if anyone's truly being honest with you. You try to open up and be vulnerable, but it feels like nobody's meeting you halfway. You're exhausted from trying to navigate these fake connections, and you're starting to lose hope that you'll ever find people who will accept you for who you are. This sense of disconnection and isolation is a direct result of the lack of radical honesty in your relationships. You see, when you're not being truthful and transparent about your thoughts, feelings, and actions, you create a barrier that prevents deep and meaningful connections with others. It's like trying to build a house on shaky ground. It might look okay on the surface, but it's always at risk of crumbling. The concept of radical honesty is about being unapologetically truthful and transparent in all your interactions. It's not about being brutal or hurtful, but about being authentic and vulnerable. When you practice radical honesty, you create a safe space for others to do the same, and that's where the magic happens. You start to build trust, intimacy, and meaningful relationships that can withstand the ups and downs of life. But why does this matter to you? Well, think about it. When was the last time you had a conversation with someone where you felt truly seen and heard? Where you didn't feel like you were walking on eggshells, trying not to say the wrong thing? It's probably been a while, right? That's because most of us are too afraid to be radically honest, fearing that we'll be rejected or judged. But the truth is, that's exactly what's holding us back from forming deep and meaningful connections with others. Let's take the story of Maria, for example. Maria's struggle with addiction had left her feeling isolated and alone, like she was living a lie. But when she started practicing radical honesty in her recovery, everything changed. She began to open up about her struggles, her fears, and her doubts, and in doing so, she found a sense of freedom and liberation she'd never experienced before. She formed deep and meaningful connections with others who were also struggling, and together, they created a community of support and understanding. Or consider the concept of radical honesty in relationships. When you're in a relationship where both parties are committed to being truthful and transparent, it's like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. You no longer have to worry about being judged or rejected, because you know that your partner is committed to seeing you for who you are, flaws and all. You can be vulnerable, you can be open, and you can be yourself without fear of reprisal. As Dr. Anna Lembke so eloquently puts it, radical honesty is essential for personal growth, healing, and transformation. It's the key to unlocking deep and meaningful connections with others, and it's the foundation upon which trust, intimacy, and meaningful relationships are built. So, why not try it out? Start small by being radically honest with someone you trust. Share your fears, your doubts, and your struggles, and see how it feels to be truly seen and heard. Imagine what it would be like to wake up every morning, feeling like you can be yourself, without fear of judgment or rejection. Imagine being in relationships where you feel truly seen and heard, where you can be vulnerable and open without fear of reprisal. That's what radical honesty can do for you. It can transform your relationships, your sense of self, and your entire life. So, what's holding you back from practicing radical honesty? Is it fear of rejection, fear of being judged, or fear of being vulnerable? Whatever it is, know that it's worth it. The rewards of radical honesty far outweigh the risks, and the transformation it can bring to your life is nothing short of profound. To start applying this concept in your life, try being radically honest with someone you trust. It could be a friend, a family member, or a partner. Share something that's been on your mind, something that you've been afraid to say. It could be as simple as saying, "I'm feeling really overwhelmed and stressed out right now," or "I'm struggling with feelings of insecurity and self-doubt." Whatever it is, say it out loud and see how it feels to be truly heard and seen. When you do this, you'll notice a shift in your relationships, a shift towards deeper and more meaningful connections. You'll start to feel more confident, more authentic, and more alive. And that's just the beginning. As you continue to practice radical honesty, you'll find that it becomes easier and easier until it's just a natural part of who you are. So, take the first step today and see where it takes you. Now let's turn our attention to the final key learning that can truly change how you approach this. You keep feeling like you're stuck in a cycle of self-destructive behaviors, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to break free. You're not alone in this feeling. Many of us struggle with the same sense of disconnection and lack of purpose, and it's affecting every area of our lives. We feel like we're just going through the motions without any real sense of direction or meaning. And deep down, we know that we're capable of so much more. But what's holding us back? The answer lies in our inability to tap into a powerful force that can help us develop a more authentic and meaningful sense of self. prosocial shame. Yes, you heard that right, shame. But not the kind of shame that's debilitating and destructive. Rather, it's a sense of shame that comes from recognizing that we're part of a larger community and that our actions have consequences for those around us. This kind of shame can be a powerful catalyst for positive change, and it's something that we can cultivate in our own lives. When you think about it, shame is often seen as a negative emotion. We're told to avoid feeling ashamed, to push it away and focus on more positive emotions instead. But what if shame could be a good thing? What if it could help us develop a deeper sense of empathy and connection with others? What if it could help us recognize our place within the larger human tribe and inspire us to make positive changes in our lives? This is exactly what prosocial shame can do. By acknowledging that we're part of a larger community and that our actions have consequences for those around us, we can begin to develop a more authentic and meaningful sense of self. We can start to see that our struggles and imperfections are not unique to us, but are instead a natural part of the human experience. And we can begin to cultivate a sense of compassion and understanding for ourselves and others, rather than judgment and criticism. Let's take the story of Lori, for example. Lori struggled with addiction for many years and felt like she was completely alone in her struggles. But when she finally found a supportive community through AA meetings, she began to experience a sense of prosocial shame that helped her turn her life around. She realized that she wasn't alone in her struggles and that there were others out there who understood what she was going through. And she began to see that her actions had consequences not just for herself, but for those around her as well. This sense of prosocial shame helped Lori develop a more authentic and meaningful sense of self. She started to see that she was capable of positive change and that she had the power to make a difference in the lives of those around her. And she began to cultivate a sense of purpose and meaning in her life, rather than just going through the motions. Another example of prosocial shame in action can be seen in the way that communities come together to support one another. When we're part of a community that values empathy and compassion, we're more likely to feel a sense of prosocial shame when we're not living up to those values. We're more likely to recognize that our actions have consequences for those around us, and to make positive changes as a result. And we're more likely to develop a deeper sense of connection and belonging with others, rather than feeling isolated and alone. So why does this matter to you? Maybe you're struggling with feelings of disconnection and isolation, and you're not sure how to break free. Maybe you're feeling stuck in a cycle of self-destructive behaviors, and you're not sure how to make a change. Whatever your struggles may be, cultivating a sense of prosocial shame can help. By acknowledging that you're part of a larger community and that your actions have consequences for those around you, you can begin to develop a more authentic and meaningful sense of self. You can start to see that your struggles and imperfections are not unique to you, but are instead a natural part of the human experience. And you can begin to cultivate a sense of compassion and understanding for yourself and others, rather than judgment and criticism. As the author of Dopamin Nation so eloquently puts it, prosocial shame can smooth some of narcissism's rougher edges, tying individuals more closely to their supportive social networks and curbing their addictive tendencies. This is the power of prosocial shame in action. By cultivating this sense of shame, we can begin to break free from the cycles of self-destruction that are holding us back and develop a more authentic and meaningful sense of self. So what becomes possible when you apply this concept to your life? Imagine waking up each morning with a sense of purpose and direction, rather than feeling lost and alone. Imagine being able to connect with others on a deeper level and to cultivate meaningful relationships that bring joy and fulfillment to your life. Imagine being able to break free from the cycles of self-destruction that have been holding you back and to develop a more authentic and meaningful sense of self. This is what's possible when you cultivate a sense of prosocial shame. By acknowledging that you're part of a larger community and that your actions have consequences for those around you, you can begin to develop a more authentic and meaningful sense of self. You can start to see that your struggles and imperfections are not unique to you, but are instead a natural part of the human experience. And you can begin to cultivate a sense of compassion and understanding for yourself and others, rather than judgment and criticism. So what can you do to start cultivating a sense of prosocial shame in your life? Start by practicing self-reflection and self-awareness. Take time each day to reflect on your actions and their consequences, and to consider how you can make positive changes in your life. Start to cultivate a sense of empathy and compassion for yourself and others, rather than judgment and criticism. And start to seek out supportive communities and social networks that can help you develop a more authentic and meaningful sense of self. One small step you can take today is to write down 3 things you're grateful for and 3 things you're sorry for. This can help you start to cultivate a sense of prosocial shame and to develop a more authentic and meaningful sense of self. By acknowledging the things you're grateful for, you can start to see the good in your life and the people around you. And by acknowledging the things you're sorry for, you can start to see the areas where you need to make positive changes. This is a small but powerful step you can take to start cultivating a sense of prosocial shame and to develop a more authentic and meaningful sense of self. Remember, the goal is not to beat yourself up over your mistakes, but to learn from them and make positive changes in your life. By cultivating a sense of prosocial shame, you can begin to break free from the cycles of self-destruction that have been holding you back and develop a more authentic and meaningful sense of self. So take that first step today and see where it leads you. Let's continue with the next important learning. You feel like you're stuck in a never-ending cycle of distraction and dissatisfaction. No matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to find meaning and purpose in your life. You're constantly searching for the next thrill, the next pleasure, or the next distraction to fill the void. But no matter what you do, the emptiness and discontent always seem to come back. You're not alone in this feeling. So many of us are trapped in this cycle, and it's suffocating. But what if you could break free from this cycle and find a sense of fulfillment and happiness that's not dependent on external sources of pleasure or distraction? What if you could immerse yourself in the world and find meaning and purpose in the present moment? The concept of immersing oneself in the world is a powerful one. It's about finding joy and fulfillment in the simple things, in the beauty of nature, in the connections we make with others, and in the work we do. When you're immersed in the world, you're fully present and engaged in the moment. You're not distracted by your phone or worried about the future or dwelling on the past. You're simply alive, and that's an incredibly liberating feeling. But how do you get to this place? How do you break free from the cycles of addiction and compulsive behavior that are holding you back? Let's look at an example from the book Dopamin Nation by Anna Lembke. The author's story is a powerful illustration of the importance of immersing oneself in the world. She found herself trapped in a cycle of compulsive romance reading, using it as a way to escape the stresses and anxieties of her life. But as she began to immerse herself in the world, she found a more rewarding and meaningful career and a sense of purpose and fulfillment that she had been lacking. She's not alone in this experience. So many people have found that by immersing themselves in the world, they're able to break free from the cycles of addiction and compulsive behavior that are holding them back. Another example that comes to mind is the concept of immersing oneself in nature. Being in nature has a way of putting things into perspective, of helping us see what's truly important. When we're in nature, we're forced to slow down, to be present, and to engage with the world around us. We're not distracted by the constant stream of information and stimuli that we're bombarded with in our daily lives. We're able to quiet the mind and listen to our hearts. And that's where the magic happens. That's where we're able to tap into our deepest desires and find the courage to pursue our dreams. But why does immersing oneself in the world matter to you? Why is it so important for finding meaning and purpose in life? The answer is simple. When you're immersed in the world, you're able to cultivate a sense of purpose and meaning that's not dependent on external sources of pleasure or distraction. You're able to find joy and fulfillment in the simple things and to appreciate the beauty and wonder of the world around you. You're able to connect with others on a deeper level and to build meaningful relationships that bring happiness and fulfillment into your life. And you're able to break free from the cycles of addiction and compulsive behavior that are holding you back, and to live a life that's true to who you are. So, what changes when you start to immerse yourself in the world? What becomes possible that wasn't before? The answer is everything. When you're immersed in the world, you're able to see things from a new perspective. You're able to appreciate the beauty and wonder of the world around you, and to find joy and fulfillment in the simple things. You're able to connect with others on a deeper level and to build meaningful relationships that bring happiness and fulfillment into your life. And you're able to break free from the cycles of addiction and compulsive behavior that are holding you back, and to live a life that's true to who you are. Imagine waking up every morning feeling alive, feeling present, and feeling connected to the world around you. Imagine being able to pursue your passions and interests without the weight of distraction and dissatisfaction holding you back. Imagine being able to build meaningful relationships with others and to find joy and fulfillment in the simple things. That's what's possible when you immerse yourself in the world. That's what's possible when you break free from the cycles of addiction and compulsive behavior and start to live a life that's true to who you are. So, what can you do to start immersing yourself in the world? What's the first step you can take to break free from the cycles of addiction and compulsive behavior and to start living a life that's true to who you are? The answer is simple. Start small. Start by taking a few minutes each day to be present, to be mindful, and to engage with the world around you. Take a walk in nature, practice deep breathing, or simply sit in silence and listen to your heart. These small actions may seem insignificant, but they're powerful. They're the first step towards a life of meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. When you take this first step, you'll start to notice a shift. You'll start to feel more alive, more present, and more connected to the world around you. You'll start to see things from a new perspective and to appreciate the beauty and wonder of the world around you. And you'll start to break free from the cycles of addiction and compulsive behavior that are holding you back and to live a life that's true to who you are. So, take that first step today. Take a few minutes to be present, to be mindful, and to engage with the world around you. You never know where it might lead. As we've explored in Dopamin Nation by Anna Lembke, the journey to understanding addiction and finding balance in our lives is complex and multifaceted. So, what does all this mean? Let's bring this all together and reflect on the key insights that can help us navigate the challenges of our modern world. Remember, the pleasure-pain balance is crucial for avoiding the pitfalls of addiction, and by recognizing this delicate balance, you can make more informed choices about your pursuits. When you combine this understanding with the practice of self-binding, you create barriers that protect you from falling into addictive patterns, whether it's substance abuse or compulsive behaviors. And by embracing the power of radical honesty, you foster an environment of awareness and transparency, allowing you to confront your vulnerabilities and weaknesses head-on. Furthermore, by acknowledging the role of prosocial shame, you can affirm your belonging to a community and leverage this sense of responsibility to drive positive change in your life. Lastly, immersing yourself in the world around you, finding meaning and purpose in the present moment, helps break the cycles of addiction and dissatisfaction, guiding you towards a more fulfilling existence. Together, these insights give you a comprehensive framework for managing your relationship with pleasure and pain, cultivating self-awareness, and embracing a life of purpose and connection. The difference between who you are now and who you want to become isn't about massive overnight changes. It's about understanding these principles and applying them consistently, one small step at a time. Success in this journey isn't a destination. It's a continuous process of learning, adapting, and growing. With the insights from Dopamin Nation, you now have a map to guide you through the complexities of addiction, pleasure, and pain, empowering you to make choices that align with your values and aspirations. If this summary gave you valuable insights, hit that like button and subscribe for more book summaries like this. And let me know in the comments, which of these key learnings resonated with you most? Perhaps you have a personal story of how you've applied one of these principles in your life, or maybe you have a book recommendation that you think our community would benefit from. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next summary, where we'll dive into another thought-provoking book and explore more ideas to inspire your personal growth and transformation.